Welcome back to another episode of Timeout with Makali. In today's episode, we have a jam-packed show today covering pretty much every team in the NFL as I'm doing a preview of all the teams in the NFL, specifically each division, and we have a lot of potentially playoff seeding predictions within each team as we talk about each team and preview how they're going to do this season. We'll also be breaking down the new documentary, The Chiefs, The Kingdom. As I watched it, I thought I'm bringing down some of my takes and my opinions on. It was a good documentary. And then lastly, we'll be talking about the new episode. Yes, I watched this show. The Summer I Turned Pretty, the recent episode, episode 7, and hear my rant on the recent episode on the show. So we have another jam-packed episode. Please don't forget, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Apple Podcasts, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. But here we go. Alrighty, so the NFL season's around the corner. Basically, we're about, I want to say, like 14 days, maybe 14, 12 days until the opener of, the Eagles banner day game against the Dallas Cowboys. So we're literally around the corner. I'm pretty much like a few more days here at home. I'm moving into college. Well, I'm a sophomore. I'm about to be a sophomore in college. So I'm about to move in for my third semester in college this upcoming week. I'm very excited for it. But, we're talking about each division and each teams. So we'll start first off. Let's talk for the NFC East. My division, my team. They'll talk about the Eagles. So I think the Eagles coming into this season is how are they going to contend once again like they did last year. And I think obviously everything offensively is still the same. You still have Jalen Hurts, you still have Saquon Barkley, you still have the same offensive line, excluding Mekhi Becton. You have Tyler Steen at right guard. And then receivers, you still have AJ, you still have Devontae. But honestly, I like how Howie has addressed some of the depth at the receiver position, like, getting John mentioned yesterday or a couple of days ago, Jahan Dotson, who I think will have a better role, a bigger role this year because he was also traded like right before the season started last year. You have Mechie. I really, really like Johnny Wilson. I hope he turns out to have a good role in this offense because I think he can play. His jump ball ability, he's like he's 6'6", almost 6'7", and he's a long athletic. I wouldn't say athletic, but he's a long receiver who I think is a jump ball receiver, and he scored a touchdown last year. So I'm a Johnny Wilson fan, I would say. And then you have some guys in the bubble, Darius Cooper, Terrence Marshall, there's somebody, Aeneas Smith. So I like the receiver depth, honestly. And then you still have Dallas, you still have, Grant Calcaterra, who can't block for anything. But, you still have those two tight ends. But the only thing intriguing is how will Kevin Patullo do as his first year as being an offensive coordinator for this team. Now, guys like Sirianni have raved for him. The players have raved for him. So we're gonna have to wait and see. I think he dialed up a great game against the Bengals, but once again, it's the Bengals defense who's pretty trash, and we'll get to them later. So we're gonna have to see. The only probably question for the Eagles is who's gonna be their number 2 corner. Who's gonna be the guy that replaces Slay last year, and even Isaiah Rodgers. Isaiah Rodgers could have very much been the number 2 corner if they re-signed him this year. So that position has been very tricky. That's probably their weakest position, in my opinion, which is not going to be great going up against the Cowboys, who have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. So it's like I was really hoping it'd be Keely Ringo, really hoping, but it appears to be he's lost the job. And if you're competing alongside Adoree Jackson, in 2025 for the number 2 job, it might be done for. And then, so basically Vic was like, I think he didn't like what we had the options for number 2. So they went out and go trade for Jacorian Bennett, who I talked about in my previous episode. I think it should be him. I think Jacorian Bennett should be the number 2 corner. He was a starter last year for the Raiders, but I think he should be the week 1 corner number 2 starter. So if you have a secondary with, Q at the left boundary, and then you have Jacorian at the right boundary, and then you have Coop in the inside, and then you have Reid and hopefully Andrew Makuba. I know he got hurt, but Andrew Makuba, who played so well in that preseason game, had the pick six and the fumble. If he, and I know he's been getting first team snaps, so you have Makuba, Reid, and then your two boundary corners in the slot, and then the other question for the Eagles is, can young defenses, they have one of the youngest, surprising, they have one of the youngest rosters in the NFL. Can those young guys on the defensive side of the ball level up their play to continue having the Eagles in contention? I honestly think they can, but it's just a matter of like what we'll see. And I think those guys can. You know, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, obviously Jalen All-Pro Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo, and then Nakobe Dean, who hopefully I hope to see him come back. And then you have Jahad Campbell, who's been so good, so good, especially in the both preseason games. And he's made some fantastic plays in training camp. So, and then you have All-Pro Zach Bond. So I think if this team can, the only issue for the Eagles, in my opinion, if they stay if this team stays healthy, and if their young defense plays well, you can shoot them in the NFC Championship game. That's just all I have to say. And then moving on, the Commanders. You know, the Commanders are tricky, man. They're really tricky. You know, on paper, I mean, not on paper. On paper, this is a good team. They're an older roster for sure. They're actually the oldest roster in the NFL. Offensively, they have Jaden Daniels, who I believe is the truth. I think Jaden Daniels is the truth. No matter if I'm an Eagles fan or not, I think he's the truth. And then, you know, a lot of unresolved feelings right now with Terry McLaurin. So that shit hasn't been resolved still yet. Surprisingly, he wasn't even in the building at the preseason game. So I don't know what they're doing there. I don't know what the issue still is. I don't know, but I'm glad Adam Peters is standing by himself and saying, "Look, great receiver. I'm not paying you more than $32 million." But you know, they also there's also rumors and reports that they want to get rid of Brian Robinson. I don't know why they want to get rid of him, but they want to. So a guy who they've been raving about is JCS Ja'Cory. His name is Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, who scored against the Bengals in their preseason game on Monday. So it'll be him and somebody else. So their running back room is like inexperienced and thin. I don't like Austin Eckler one bit, not at all. So it's just weird. Like right now, they might start this year with losing the running back one and potentially not having Terry McLaurin. So it's a bit tricky. I don't know. Maybe losing the running back one, he didn't make the team in terms of where they want them to be. So I don't know, man. I really don't. And then Debo is your number one going into the season. I like Jalen Lane. Getting Laramie Tunsil was huge. That was really huge. And their defense is old as hell. It's old as hell. Their defense is like old as hell. Bobby Wagner is your Mike. Luvu, who I fucking hate. I fucking hate Frankie Luvu. I'm sorry. Like I don't like that guy. His gimmick is so annoying, and he's such a troll, jumping off sides and laying dirty hits on quarterbacks. Did it to Jalen Hurts. Did it to Jared Goff. Don't like him. And then their secondary is like. Their secondary is another of those. Lattimore, he played hurt, but he wasn't very good last year. I like Sanders still. I like Mikey Sanders still, but other than that, it's like their D line is. Von Miller is your edge in 2025. Like really, like come on, what are we doing? Dietrich Wise, like I don't know. I'm not. I think their offense is going to have to score a lot of points for them to win some games this year. And I don't know, man. I am a little bit on the fritz with this Commanders team, but they have Jaden Daniels. Like if I'm looking at the roster right now, like I love Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz, your starting tight end. Austin Eckler, Dorrance Armstrong, Deron Payne, Kinlaw, Dietrich Wise, like Quan Martin, Will Harris. Like it's like I don't know, man. I'm not too like. I'm not saying that they're not going to be good. It's just like, I don't know, like, I would not be surprised if they struggle this year. But they have Jaden Daniels. And we've seen JD5 magic happen. And They've overcame a lot because they have Jaden Daniels. The Cowboys could be the 2024 version of the Bengals. I mean that wholeheartedly. Their passing offense will be very, very good. Obviously, Dak being back for a full season. CeeDee Lamb, Pickens. I even like Jake Ferguson. And then you have Schottenheimer calling the shots now at the helm. I never understood why they hired him or the process, but here we are. Their running game is atrocious. It's atrocious. They don't have a clear running game or a clear number one running back. I believe their running back, it is no bueno. Who like Javonte Williams? It's another one of those. The Cowboys could be literally. They don't have a very good running game. Their defense is not very good. Their secondary could be burnt toast on because I don't really like Diggs. Diggs is kind of injury prone now. Is getting older. Deron Bland was burnt toast last year, and their linebackers are terrible. Their linebackers are terrible. Their defensive line, I think they could be very good on the pass rush. They can't. I don't know if they'll be able to stop the run, right? And then you still have the unresolved thing with Micah. That still hasn't been resolved either. I saw a rumor today from Adam Schefter that he could play out on his last year of his deal, Micah Parsons, and then get franchise tagged. Which, why the hell would you do that? No, if you're gonna do that, then he's gonna get traded. If the Cowboys are saying we're gonna do that, then Micah Parsons should be traded. So, and if I'm Micah Parsons, I wouldn't want to play in a franchise tag deal. I wouldn't do that. That's stupid. Their organization's a mess, and they just smell like an 8-9 football team. They smell like an 8-9, 9-8 football team. You cannot convince me otherwise. The Giants, I think the Giants' future, they look promising. I actually like their defensive line, very good on paper. Abdul Carter, who could be a menace. Burns, Dexter Lawrence. I don't really like Kayvon Thibodeau, to be honest with you guys. As a player and a person, I think he's kind of annoying. But Thibodeau could be, I don't think he's going to be on the team next year. But, with those guys, with Burns, Abdul, and Dexter Lawrence, that could be a very good defensive line. Their secondary could be an issue, though. They weren't very good last year. And if those guys like Javon Holland and Adebo don't play very well, good luck. Good luck. And the Giants have one of the hardest schedules in the NFL this year, which is kind of crazy. But, I love Malik Neighbors. I like Scottaboo. Jackson Dart, he's played well in the preseason to what he's been given to. And he's going to learn under Russ. He's not going to play this year, which is a good thing. You don't want your rookie quarterbacks to just throw into the fire. But the Russ Malik Neighbors connection will be fun to see. The Russ Moonball will be fun to see because Giants haven't had a quarterback that can throw that far in a while. But the Giants, I think that their future, it looks promising. If I'm a Giants fan, I'm hey, we got some young talent. We got some young guys. We don't have a lot of we have some blue chips and we have some guys that can be developed. If I'm a Giants fan, I would feel like we're not going to be good this year, but I would be happy in the future, man. I would be. Moving on to the NFC North, the Vikings. I think the Vikings can win the division. Yes, I do. If JJ McCarthy plays well, the Vikings can absolutely win the division. The Vikings have, in my opinion, I think the Vikings have one of the best coaching staffs in the NFL. AOC as the offensive play caller is top 5 offensive play caller. And they have Brian Flores, who's another top 3 defensive play caller. So if JJ McCarthy, I think if he plays well this year, the Vikings can absolutely win the division without even question. He is in a great offensive situation. You throw into Justin Jefferson, Addison, who's going to be suspended, but he's only going to miss 3 or 4 games. That's not going to hurt the entire year. Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. Their offensive line is really, really good. And TJ Hawkinson, you have Kale Sage, your play caller. Brilliant defensive-minded defensive coordinator. That team they won 14 games, and I think the Vikings can absolutely win the division this year. Absolutely. The Lions are another good team. I have to see how their new coordinator's going to do this year. With Kelvin Shepard that they promoted within. Kelvin Shepard was a linebacker coach of in 2024 in this era of the Lions. They promoted him with Dan Campbell, John Morton, who they also promoted to offensive coordinator. So we're gonna have to see how their coordinator hires pan out this year. Because I remember when I was an Eagles fan, when we lost our two coordinators who we got to the Super Bowl with, I think Gannon was overrated as hell. But we didn't replace those guys very well. We did not. Desai and Brian Johnson and Matt Patricia were horrible. So let's see if Dan Campbell's hires were good for this team. On paper, the Lions look great. Gibbs, Montgomery, Amon-Ra, Laporta, their offensive line, getting Hutch back. Hopefully Hutch can return back to form because when Hutch was playing last year, he could have been very well easily been the defensive player of the year. Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, and Alex Anzalone. If the Lions can stay healthy, if their coordinators, are great, the Lions could be another one of the team that could be in contention this year again. It could absolutely happen. They're on the roster. They have it, But I just once again I don't trust Jared Goff. But let's see if they could do that. The Packers, are they overrated? They got young talent on the team for sure. Last year was kind of I would say last year could have been an outlier, to be honest with you, because towards the end of the season they were thin, man. Their receiving room was absolutely thin. Josh Jacobs played amazing. Love was hurt. The defensive line wasn't very good. They didn't play very well. They didn't play very well in the playoff game against us. So I think they're better, and honestly they were horrible in the division last year, but their division was so good. Like they lost to the Lions twice, they lost to the Vikings twice, and they weren't healthy in that second game against the Bears. So I mean, I don't know. I hope, to be honest, I think the Packers can be another. I think they can be an 11-win football team. I think they can. It's just like, can they stay healthy, and are they overrated? Is the real question. Jordan Love played kind of inconsistent last year, and you hope to have him play more consistent this year. So it's just a wait and see. It's a wait and see. But I think the Packers are better than the Bears. But the Bears, they finished fourth. But I think the Bears fans should be excited. They should feel great though. The Bears should absolutely feel great because Ben Johnson's the head coach now, and Ben Johnson is going to run a shit show of an NFL football team. I like the vision with the Bears. Honestly, I like the Colston Loveland pick. Running the two tight end sets of the 12 personnel could do wonders. And Bears fans should be excited after watching the preseason game against the Bills. All training camp long, the Bears offense they were struggling in training camp because, you're adjusting to a new offense, new head coach, new style, new plays, new everything. So, it's going to take time. And I think seeing the glimpse of what the offense could be, it should be great. Like, when Caleb was making those reads and those checks to Loveland and Komet and that play to Zacchaeus, like that 93-yard football drive was probably the best drive Caleb Williams has ever had as a Bear. Playing within the pocket and playing rhythm football is what Caleb Williams needed. Last year, it was kind of felt like he was playing like out of structure backyard football. A lot of people say, "Whoa, Caleb Williams played so well in the preseason last year too." Yeah, but if you look at those plays, like he was just running around, like trying to make shit happen, and that was the theme of his year last year, which is running around, trying to make shit happen, because that's most of his game. He plays out of structure, like an out of structure quarterback. But you get a guy like Ben Johnson who's gonna hopefully make him play within the structure and on time and in rhythm throws. Dude, Caleb could be amazing. He could be amazing. And on top of that, when you have to his talent that he can make plays out of structure, it only helps the offense. It only makes the offense even better. I like it was like 1, 2, 3 ball out, 1, 2, 3 ball out. Like it was rhythm. It was one of the best Bears offensive drives I've seen in the last like 10 years. I'm so serious. I know it's a preseason game, but still. I know it was against the Bills' second string defense, but you have to feel like I see the vision with the 12 personnel. That 12 personnel might eat. It might eat, bro. It might eat. And especially their defense with Dennis Allen. Their defense played well last year. They just couldn't win games. They just couldn't win games. But Bears fans should be excited. I would be, if I was a Bears fan, I would be excited if we won 9 games. If we won 8 or 9 football games, I'd take that all day. I would. If we won 8 or 9 football games, I would I would take that any day of the week. Like, no Bears fan should be saying that we're gonna go, oh, we're going 12-5, we're going 13. Like, 8 to 9 wins is a building stone. That's a building stone, bro. I'm just saying. And the Bears made the right decision in hiring Ben Johnson. Right decision. The NFC West, the Rams. The Rams can absolutely contend. They can absolutely contend. Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, getting him was a steal. Stafford, I hope, the only issue right now with the Rams is how is Stafford going to hold up? He's getting older, and that back injury is concerning. I would be alarmed if I was a Rams fan. I would. I think one bad hit or one bad sack could knock him out. It could. It really could. But I would be, the Rams defensive line, that young, really, really good defensive line, they played well down the stretch. They played well against us. Jared Verse, Byron Young, and Kobe Turner. It's a really good defensive line. It really is. Their secondary is still a little bit, but that defensive line, and I think that the Rams can absolutely contend this year. If Stafford plays, if he plays 80% of the games, the Rams could absolutely contend, in the NFC this year. The Cardinals, after the Rams, it could be a toss-up with like any 3 of these teams. Could be the Cardinals, could be the Seahawks, could be the Niners. If I was a betting man, who would I bet my money on to finish number 2? I would probably say the Cardinals. I would say the Cardinals, they have more talent. They have more young talent. Marvin Harrison, hopefully they can unlock him. Hopefully they can get more touchdowns to Trey McBride. Defensively, they've played well as a unit under Jonathan Gannon. So if I was a betting man, I would say the Cardinals number 2, the Seahawks number 3. Because they lost some talent. So it's a new offense. Kubiak with Sam Darnold, Cooper Kupp, and JSN, and Kenneth Walker, and hopefully the offensive line is a lot better than it was last year. And defensively, under Will McDonald, they've played well. So I mean, I could honestly go to the Seahawks too. Honestly, I wouldn't be mad if I said the Seahawks or the Cardinals. But I'm gonna switch it. I think the Cardinals will. I mean, not the Cardinals. The Seahawks will finish 2. The Cardinals will be 3. The Niners 4. The Niners lost a lot of talent in the offseason. Lost a lot of talent. And their guys are getting older. Their receiving room is pretty much depleted. I mean, they traded away Debo. Ayuk's not coming back until week 5 or 6. Kittle's getting older. McCaffrey's getting older. Shanahan's, I think he's on a ticking time bomb, to be honest. I think he'd be on the hot seat after this year. And then, they gave a lot of money to Brock Purdy. So let's see if he's the franchise quarterback that they're all telling us that he is. It's cool to see them get Salah back in the building as the defensive coordinator. Hopefully, they're going to play a lot better than they have been playing the last 2 years for sure. I would say this could be a DPOY year for Fred Warner. Just saying. Same with Nick Bosa too. So I mean, I don't know the Niners. I would say 4. I would say the Niners finish last. All right, the NFC South could be anybody's division. It could be anybody's division. I think it could be from. Actually, no, it cannot be anybody's division. But it could be one of the 3 teams. It could be the Bucks, the Falcons. I can even say the Panthers. But the Bucks are the betting favorite to win the NFC South. Great team all around. Bucky Irving, Baker Mayfield. They have one of the best left tackles in the game, Tristan Wirfs, Mike Evans, Emeka Ibuka, Jalen McMillan just got hurt, and then Godwin, who's still not. So it'll be interesting who they're going to roll out for the first week for week 1. It would probably be Mike Evans, Emeka. I don't know who the third would be. And then Kate Otten, who he was on my fantasy team last year. I actually love Kate Otten. And then defensively, the unit has played well under Bulls. I mean, especially against the Eagles. But they didn't play that well to end the year. I kind of think Todd Bowles is kind of a little bit of an overrated head coach, in my opinion. I think he's kind of overrated. But if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think if Michael Penix in that offense, if he plays well, I think the Falcons win the division. They could have very much won the division last year if Kirk Cousins wasn't trolling and they played Penix way too late. They have the talent, man. Drake London, who's a top 10 receiver. Bijan Robinson, who's a top 5 running back. I love Mooney. I mean, hopefully Kyle Pitts, they're saying that they're throwing him the ball. So let's see. Defensively, it's still a little bit of a mess. They did not play very well last year, but they have Jesse Bates, who I love. The unit hasn't played that great under Raheem Morris, and I honestly think if the Falcons don't have a good year this year, Raheem Morris could get the door kicked on him. It could happen. But I think if Michael Penix plays well this year, I think the Falcons can absolutely win the division. I really do, bro. I really, really do. I really do. The Panthers, I would buy a lot of stock into the Panthers. A lot. Bryce, especially, I know I'm basing this off of 3 or 4 games left into the regular season, but Bryce Young was playing so well. He was playing like a top 10 quarterback to end the year last year. He almost beat the Eagles. Played probably the best game of his career against the Falcons. Played so well against the Buccaneers. Played well. I just think him, Mac, Chuba Hubbard. Now it's his second year, so they have a fully established. Their quarterback is established. I would put a lot of stock on the Panthers this year. And can't forget about the country goat, Xavier Legat. I would put a lot of stock on the Panthers this year because Bryce Young played so well. And the Panthers were one of the hottest teams in the NFL. And they almost beat the Chiefs, too, last year, too. He played so well. I would not be surprised if the Panthers are in contention to win the NFC South. I wouldn't. I know we're basing this off of a small sample size of last season, but I would not count the Panthers. And the Panthers, they have the vision, they have belief, and Bryce Young was playing with confidence. That's what it was missing. He was playing with confidence, and when the quarterback plays with confidence, it's a dangerous sight. The Saints, they're the worst team in the NFL by far. But nothing else to say. Tyler Shuck could be their quarterback 1, or it could be Spencer Rattler. Watch out for Alvin Kamara to be on the trade block in the middle of the season. Just saying. AFC East. The Bills will be the number 1 team in the AFC East once again. Are we surprised? No. Their only issue is can they come over the hump? Can they get over the hump of beating the Chiefs in the postseason? I don't even think, when I talk about the Bills, I don't think that, it's on Josh Allen when he loses these games. I think when you look at these games against the Chiefs in the postseason, Josh Allen normally plays very, very well. I've never walked out of a Bills-Chiefs postseason game where I said, damn, Josh Allen got to play better. Josh Allen should have made that throw. It's on McDermott and the defense. Their defense is never ready in those games against the Chiefs. They're never ready. Never. That falls on McDermott, bro. That falls on Sean McDermott. It's on his decisions. Like, not last year. The year before that, when the Tyler Bass missed field goal. What the hell are you doing on a 4th and 5 inside your own 30? Running a fake punt with DeMar Hamlin. What the hell are you doing? Sean McDermott constantly gets outcoached by Andy Reid in those games. Instantly. It's like even when last year in the AFC Championship game, it was a 3rd down to clinch the game. Like, what the hell are you doing, leaving the running back wide open in the flat? Joe Brady, offensive coordinator. 4th and 8, 4th and 7 against Spags. Spags not going to sit back in zone. He's running a cover 0. You know this. Why is Khalil Shakir in the backfield? Why? Can somebody explain that to me? I never understood that. You knew he was blitzing, and then Josh, messing up the protection, and then they sent everybody. I mean, it was a sick play. It was that Josh was able to, get the ball off into a catchable position. He got the ball to a catchable spot. It just was dropped. And they constantly get outcoached. And the Chiefs are always ready in those games. But it falls on McDermott, bro. I think if they lose to the Chiefs again in the postseason, I would consider thinking maybe we need to change because they're doing the definition of insanity, doing the same shit over and over again and expecting a different result. It's always the same each year, and their seasons like clockwork. To be honest, okay, how they dominate the AFC, a weak AFC East, beat the Chiefs in the regular season, and lose to them in heartbreaking fashion in the postseason every year. I think the Patriots can finish second. I love their young talent. Mike Vrabel looks like the right head coach to lead this team in this rebuild. A lot of young talent. Travion Henderson, Will Campbell, Drake May. Love Kyle Williams. Love Demario Douglas. We'll see what Diggs can do with this team. Christian Gonzalez. The Patriots have drafted very, very well the past couple of years. Now you have the guy, Mike Vrabel, who knows the Patriots, knows that building, knows that team. I think the Patriots can make some noise this year. I think they really, really can, bro. I'm not too much of a fan of Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. He's done it before, and he's done it with Brady, but he's not a good head coach. But he's done it before, so he's familiar. That's a familiar spot for him. Dolphins, they're so mediocre. They're so mediocre, and their secondary is thin as hell. They dropping guys like flies down there, like flies, and outside the tackles, the Dolphins are very good. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Devon Achane, Tua can light you up, but in the trenches, they're horrible. They're horrible within the trenches. Horrible. That's why they lose those games. And especially when it gets colder, they don't play very well in cold weather games. I think Mike McDaniel could be on the hot seat. Chris Greer could be on the hot seat. They need a new regime. I think the Dolphins need a tougher regime right now. The Jets, it's a boomer bust with Justin Fields. Really is. That's all I have to say. I think the Jets are a boomer bust with Justin Fields. I like Aaron Glenn. It's just how can Justin Fields do this year? And he's always been inconsistent. And the offense hasn't looked that great under him. So that's all I have to say. The AFC North, the Ravens, in my opinion, I think they're the best. They're outside the Eagles. I think they're the best roster in the NFL. They're basically the Eagles of the AFC. They're great everywhere. Great offensive line. Great running back. Top 2 quarterback. 2 top 10 tight ends. Defensively, they're one of the best in the NFL. It's just, can they do that in the postseason, not the regular season? They remind me of the Ravens. Remind me of the late 2010s Rockets. If you know, you know. The Bengals, they could finish it could be the Bengals or the Steelers, but Joe Burrow might have to put up 40 a game for them to even have a chance to win because their defense looks like shit. They look like shit. They were getting lit up by Tanner McKee, and their first team defense went up against the Commanders yesterday, and they got lit up. Didn't even try to take off Jaden Daniels' head, which that should have happened. And then they didn't even allow that. And they got walked down. Their run defense is garbage. Joe Burrow's going to have to, he put up 30 last year. He might have to put up 40 this year for them to even have a chance. Their organization is so bad. Their front office is so bad. They valued the power of friendship with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. They shouldn't have paid T. Higgins. They should have focused on that defense, and now they're going to trade Trey Hendrickson? Really? I don't even know what to say. It's like, good luck this year with that Trey Hendrickson. It might get dark for them. Joe's going to have to put up a lot of points this year for them to have a chance to be in the playoffs. Steelers, I'm not too fond of this team either. I think having Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, QB1 at 40 in this year, I don't know. And they're kind of an older roster, Jalen Ramsey, Slay is your corners, and then Joey Porter Jr. is who's young. Jonnu Smith and Arthur Smith are back again, so I already know what Arthur Smith's going to do. give the ball to Jonnu Smith. So that's going to be fun to watch and take away a lot of points from DK Metcalf this year. No, but I actually think that DK Metcalf is going to have a good year with Aaron Rodgers. I think he could be like Aaron Rodgers' best friend with the offense this year. But like, I don't know. They constructed like their running game isn't the strongest either with Warren and Johnson. Like, and right now Cam Hayward, who I think he finally showed up to camp, but he wants a new contract too. TJ Watt, who's getting a little bit older, but he's still very, very good. So and Alex Highsmith, who I really, really like. So, it's gonna be another one of those mediocre years where the Steelers probably go 9-8 again. And maybe they make the playoffs. They're not going to have a losing record, but I guarantee they'll win 9 games. Mess. Their quarterback situation's a mess. Joe Flacco starting week 1 in the year 2025 at, 40 years old? That tells me everything I need to know. But I love Myles Garrett. Love Denzel Ward. Hopefully those guys can get a quarterback, man. And the situation, too, is the same with Shador and Dylan. It's like keeping 4 quarterbacks is just a mess. The AFC West, I think I've talked about the Chiefs a few times right now on this podcast. I think they're in better position than they were last year, obviously. I don't have to go too much in depth with them, but they're going to win the AFC West. They're going to win the AFC West. They have a much improved offensive line. Hopefully, an established receiving room this year. It could be a very deep receiving room. I like Jalen Royals. I like Tyquan Thornton. Hopefully he makes the team. So, and hopefully their running game's a lot better. Their defense is still really, really good, especially under Spags. So it's going to be another one, like, they're going to be really good. The Broncos. Love this team. They have one of the best young defenses in the NFL with PS2, Benito, and Zach Allen. I love this Broncos team. And Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Sean Payton's going to trying to make Bo Nix the Drew Brees of his offense, and Bo Nix played so well last year, and the Broncos made the playoffs. So I would be especially hyped up if I was a Broncos fan right now, for sure. And I honestly think, in my opinion, I think the Raiders can be the number 3 team in the AFC West. I think they're going to compete. I do. I think the Raiders are going to compete, in this division. New coach with Pete Carroll, who's done it before. Gino, who's been with Pete in a while. Who's been with Pete Carroll. Genty, Bowers. They still have Max Crosby. I think this Raiders team is going to compete. I think this Raiders team is going to has a better record than the Chargers. I think the Chargers have a harder schedule than they did last year. Remember, the Raiders have a number 4 team division schedule, while the Chargers are going to have a harder schedule. And the Chargers have a lot more issues right now than I think the Raiders do. A lot of people go, oh my God, look at the Raiders receiving room. Jacoby Myers and Jack Batch, who I at TCU, who I really like, those can be 2 solid options. But who's going to be getting most of the targets? Brock Bowers, anyways. The Chargers, they have a tough schedule, really tough schedule, so I put them at 4. AFC South, I think the Texans right now, if their offensive line improves and they stay healthy, they could be legitimate contenders in the AFC. Hopefully, their receiver room is a lot healthier this year too. They could be one of the top contenders in the AFC. The Jaguars, I really like the Jaguars. With new head coach Liam Cohen, I think he can get the most out of Trevor Lawrence in this offense, especially with BTJ and Travis Hunter, who's playing both ways. I wonder who's going to be the running back between, ETN and Tank Bigsby, so it's going to be interesting to see that. And defensively, they have some guys. Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, and, they have a lot of guys. Devin Lloyd and Travis Hunter as your number 2, as your corner. They have a talent. They have some talent on the defensively. So I think Liam Cohen's going to make the most out of this team. I think he's getting the most out of this team. The Colts, they're stuck in mediocrity. I don't know if you have Daniel Jones as your week 1 starter going into 2025. That tells me everything I need to know about where the franchise, the Indianapolis Colts, are. And that I love Shane Steichen, but having Daniel Jones as your week 1 starter, like, your job is on the line, bro. Like, if the Colts, if they don't win 9+ games, like, a lot of people are getting fired. A lot. Even Chris Ballard too. Because, I think Daniel Jones was their guy from the start when they signed him in free agency. They completely botched Anthony Richardson's development. Completely. He was a project. We all knew that Anthony Richardson was a project player. Yes, he had the physical tools. In my opinion, I think what the Colts should have done, they should have had a bridge quarterback, not year one, maybe a 2-year bridge quarterback, and let AR learn the game of the NFL instead of just throwing him in the wolves to everybody, to everybody, and he didn't play well. Didn't play well his second year. First year he got hurt. He's injury prone, and then on top of that, second year he was really bad. And I don't think they trust him. He's his second time getting benched as a quarterback. Your second time getting benched, the team don't trust you. They don't think you could be the starter. But just having Daniel Jones as your starter, and the excuse and the reason why, Shane Steichen, they go in the press conference. They're like, so, Coach Steichen, why do you think Daniel Jones can be your starter in week one? He goes, well, I think he's good. I think he'd be a starter because he was really good in 2022. That was 3 years ago. He's been awful since. Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. And it just shows that the Colts still want to be a mediocre franchise and football team. They don't want to do anything. They can't develop a quarterback. They just want to be stuck like Shane Steichen. I don't know what to say. I think he wants one of those quarterbacks that can play within the system, is a game manager, conservative. It's just weird, man. The Colts are just they're it sucks. And if I were a Colts fan, I'd be enraged. They've been in quarterback hell for the past since Andrew Luck. When are they going to find a franchise quarterback? And they spent a 4th pick on Anthony Richardson. And they're giving up on him. And he's not even 23. He's barely 23 years old. He's young. They botched that entire thing. They should have sat Anthony Richardson for 2 to 3 years. Let him learn the game. And then come in. It's worked with Jordan Love. It's worked with Mahomes. And Mahomes didn't play his first year. It's worked with Aaron Rodgers. Let him learn. Don't just throw him to the wolves. It's crazy. It's actually crazy in the NFL that quarterbacks don't have a long... if you're not good your first 2 years, it's over. It's over. It's actually crazy. It's crazy. The Titans, Cam Ward, I think he can have a rookie of the year type of year, especially, having him with Calvin Ridley, how he's raved about Calvin Ridley. So it's going to be fun to see, that connection. The head coach of the Titans could have been very much fired last year. I think the Titans head coach, I forget his name. The head coach, Brian Callahan, yes, I knew that. He could have very much been fired last year. Very much would have could have been fired. They were thinking about it. But, we'll see how they do. I don't think there's a lot of expectations with them. But hopefully it's just a building year. You just want to build. Build. That's just it. Build. All right. Moving on to the next segment of our show today. We're talking about, the recent documentary, the Chiefs documentary, The Kingdom, and recapping what I think of the show, of the documentary. I think it was a great documentary. I really do. I think probably the coolest thing about the documentary was seeing the history of the Chiefs and seeing Lamar Hunt, being one of the pillars in the building blocks of the NFL. This guy was basically, he started off, mining for oil with his brothers. And he was like, you know what? This is not what I want to do. I don't want to do this. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go to the NFL. I want to be in sports. I want to do this. And this is the time. I want to do sports. So he goes to the NFL and he goes, hey, I think the NFL could use an expansion team. And the NFL commission, the owners at the time were like, hell no. We don't need another expansion team. That's preposterous. Get out of that. We're denying your claim. And Lamar was like, all right, fuck y'all. I'll make my own league then. And he made his own league, the AFL, which is like the AFC, and some of the AFC teams were within the AFL, and since he made his team the Dallas Texans at the time in Dallas, and at the time there was two Dallas football teams. It was the Dallas Cowboys, who were the main team in that city, and the Dallas Texans. So there couldn't be two teams in Dallas because they weren't showing up to Dallas Texans and who to root for, and Dallas was like, we don't really want this, and so he didn't, the Dallas Texans at the time, they couldn't be two teams in Dallas because money and fans and people were complaining. So the Kansas City mayors and the government of Kansas City was like, move your team here. We'll take you. We'll take a minute. We want a team in the Midwest. It's like, all right, fine. And so he moves his team to Kansas City, and it became the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs, which is the team today. I thought his history was so cool, learning about his history with the team, and especially with the AFL. With the AFL, they were becoming so popular that the AFL was taking some of the NFL players into their league. And so when that was happening, the NFL had competition now with them losing the players to the AFL. So the NFL caved in and was like, all right, let's merge together with the NFL and the AFL. And so that is today now. It's originally the NFL, and now it's the NFC with the NFL teams and the AFL with the AFC teams. So learning about Lamar Hunt's history was really, really cool. And then also, he was the founder of the name, the Super Bowl. When the NFL was starting with the NFL and AFL, he was basically like the end of the championship game, especially with the conference championship games, the NFC and the AFC, there needed to be a championship game. And so the last game of the season. So he was like, you know what? He wrote in this memo, he was like, there should be a game, named, it should be called the Super Bowl. But if you actually learn it, he came up with the name Super Bowl because in his house with his kids and his family, his kids had a toy called the Super Ball. It was a bouncy little ball across the walls and whatnot, right? And so he saw that, knew the product, and he basically turned that name, just took out ball and called it the Super Bowl. I thought that was really, really cool. So he was basically the founder of the Super Bowl. In his memo, he said, technically, we should call it the Super Bowl. And NFL, the commissioner was like, no, that's stupid. Like, nah, that's dumb, boring, whatever. And the name was going popular everywhere in commercials. People were in names and everything. And so much the NFL commissioner had to cave in after 3 years, and they officially deemed it the Super Bowl. So that guy he named it the Super Bowl, which is crazy. Which is kind of crazy. So that guy, Lamar Hunt, has a lot of history within the NFL, which I thought was really, really cool. I thought the Randy Reid episode was probably the best in my opinion, learning how he became an NFL head coach and, the struggles with him and, his son dying in Philly and, his time with Philly. Especially being an Eagles fan, I didn't get to watch too much of Andy Reid's era. I got to see like a couple seasons, the D-Jack and the Nick Foles and the Michael Vick era. I didn't get to see the Donovan McNabb era, but I wish Andy Reid was to win a Super Bowl in Philly. I really do, because the Eagles and the fan base have a love-hate relationship with Andy Reid, because he was good, but he used to be a playoff choker and he could never win the big games. But he's the winningest head coach in Eagles history. He is. He really is. He was a phenomenal head coach. Just couldn't win the big games, and his history is it was really cool to see his episode for sure. The only issue I had with the documentary is Travis Kelce. Not to say I don't like Travis Kelce, but we literally got to hear about Andy Reid's history, Patrick Mahomes' history, Chris Jones' history, the Chiefs' history. We didn't get Travis Kelce's history. The only history that we got with Travis Kelce was him becoming famous. Oh my God, he's dating Taylor Swift. He's a celebrity now. That was the only thing that we got from Travis Kelce. Other than that, we got no history in his backstory and how he became a Hall of Fame tight end. Like, I want to hear about his days in Cincinnati when he almost got kicked off the football team and Jason Kelce had to save him. I want to learn about his time and growing up in Ohio with his brother, Jason Kelce. All the only thing we got was literally learning about was how he's a celebrity and how he got famous. And that's ridiculous. Even learning about Chris Jones' history was cool. Mahomes' history was cool with his dad and the Mets and baseball, and Andy Reid and the Chiefs history, and Clark Hunt's history. We got none of that with Travis Kelce. That was my only issue. But the documentary also, they also basically broke down like every event of the Patrick Mahomes era. The loss to Tom Brady, the year they won the Super Bowl, the year they lost the Super Bowl, their playoff loss to the Bengals, them winning the Super Bowl against us, the Niners Super Bowl, and then this past. My favorite episode, obviously, was the last episode when it was so funny because 2 years ago when we lost in the Super Bowl, Mahomes had his documentary, the quarterback against when we lost in the Super Bowl. I couldn't watch the last episode. I watched all six, but the last one because the last one was about the Super Bowl against us. I didn't want to relive that. I didn't want to relive that. But this year, I got to relive it again, and seeing them all frustrated and upset. Brittany Mahomes all upset when they get their ass kicked. Mahomes like, oh fuck, and then Brittany Mahomes is upset. Seeing all Brett Veach and Kelsey all upset. The only one I legitimately felt bad for was Clark Hunt. Seeing Clark Hunt, I was like, damn, because Clark Hunt, he's trying to take his dad's team to the next level of the pillars of franchises in sports, and they honestly have been, and them even getting to have a chance at winning a three-peat, and him taking his dad's team like that would have been really, really cool. And it's never been done in NFL history, and that was the only person I illegitimately felt bad for. Other than that, it was cool to watch them get their ass kicked behind the scenes. All right, moving on to the next segment. The Summer I Turned Pretty, episode 7. Yes, I watched this show. I've watched every season. Yes, I'm a guy and I watched The Summer I Turned Pretty. So I watched episode 7 today. And, honestly, it's some bullshit. Bro, Belly does not deserve Conrad. I am Team Conrad for life. I'm Conrad FC. And after watching this past episode, Belly doesn't deserve Conrad anymore. Conrad, this man, he cares so much. I've never seen anybody in the show care so much for Belly. Even when Belly was marrying his brother, how much Conrad cares. Even still, helping her plan the wedding, helping her with groceries, helping her with food and everything, and all this other stuff that he's been doing this summer for Belly. Conrad's been literally looking out for Belly since Belly didn't even know what love is. When I thought one of the best scenes was when they were little kids, being in Cousins, and Belly went to go shop for those unicorn glasses and whatnot, and they went to go play arcade. And Conrad, she didn't come back after an hour, and Belly's like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Conrad. And Conrad's like, it's okay. We stick together. That's Conrad's been looking out and caring for Belly and loving Belly since they was little kids. And then, to see, Conrad in the beach, every time that Conrad and Belly are at the beach, some shit gonna come down, go down. Whether it's love or heartbreak. And to see Conrad pour out his heart and soul and seeing him in tears, it made me even emotional. I was like, damn. It's it's hard to watch. To see a guy who genuinely he loves Belly so much it hurts. And Jeremiah and Belly is so delusional. She is so delusional. I thought obviously everybody was waiting for when Conrad found out that Jeremiah cheated on Belly. Now you can say whatever you want. You could say, oh yeah, they took a break. They took a break. Obviously, they took a break or they weren't broken up or whatever. They were breaking up or they weren't broken up. He still found another girl within 2 days after they broke up. And they hooked up twice. Twice. Not once. Belly got cheated on. Jeremiah cheated on Belly twice with the same girl. Once is it's bad. Cheating on somebody in general is a bad thing to do. Bad. One time is it's really bad, but it's hard to come back after that. But like, but you can still come back to it depending on the person. 2 times is crazy. 2 times is like, yeah, I never want to see you again. Bella is still delusional. She still is delusional and strung up over Jeremiah. This guy cheated on you, broke your heart, and then you just go marry him in forgiveness? You just go marry him like act like it's all good, like nothing happened? You're delusional. You're delusional. And then Conrad, even back to what I was saying about Conrad caring for Belly. Even when Conrad, his brother is marrying the love of his life, he still was able to get Belly's mom, Laurel, who wanted to do nothing with this wedding. Absolutely nothing. Didn't want Belly to even get married because she's so young, was against it all. He still got her to come out and support the wedding and be a part of the wedding. Still. Conrad's like, no, you got to be there for her. She's miserable because you're not there. And Laurel's like, I don't know. I don't want to do this. I don't want to see her do this. And Conrad's like, you still got to be there. Like, and Conrad, the only reason why Jeremiah's even dating is even with Belly is because Conrad, his dying mother was on her deathbed. She's like, you gotta take care of I want you to take care of Jeremiah. And he's like, yeah. And so he put his feelings aside at the end of season 2. He's like, he put his feelings aside for Jeremiah and allowed Jeremiah to be with Belly. Conrad has loved Belly since the beginning. Since they were kids. Jeremiah only started liking Belly until she literally got pretty. Until she literally glowed up. And to see Belly so delusional about him, it just boils my head. Like Belly going to when he opened his soul and his heart, and to see her say, you will never be we were never anything. Jeremiah, nobody has ever treated me like Jeremiah. Are you kidding me? Yeah, nobody treated you like Jeremiah. Because he cheated on you twice. And you just go, like, all is forgiven? We were never anything? Really? Y'all were in love. The only reason why Conrad, y'all didn't work out because Conrad, his mother was dying. His mother was dying, and he was watching his mother die. That would make anybody feel isolated and sad and depressed. Anybody would feel like that. Like, Belly just make everything about herself. Like, it pissed me off. To be honest, when she was breaking down crying after they talked, I didn't feel bad for her. I mean, I don't feel sorry for you. I don't. You're delusional about a guy who. I said, you know what? I was watching the show. I said, let her marry Jeremiah and see how much of a mistake that will be. He go in episode 6 when they're shopping for apartments. Jeremiah doesn't have any good credit score. Horrible credit score because he was an idiot and bought a credit card with free Bruins tickets. Ran that shit up, and then his will be he goes to Belly. It's okay, Belly. We'll find an apartment that doesn't check for credit score. That doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Jeremiah is not a good dude. He may be maybe a good dude to other people, but in terms of love life, bro, he has Belly by the strings. It's so bad how much of a leash he has on her. Like, she's delusional. It's like, wake up. Conrad has been there for you. Time after time after time. And you still can't see it. Was able to get your mom to the wedding. And then to see her, in the bathroom at the club and everything, like, said, like, oh man, this wedding stuff, I only dreamed it with Conrad. And then you just spit in his face at the beach? What's wrong with you? Here's another thing. Jeremiah, too. He pissed me so off so much. When does he not piss you off? In this episode, when, he's like, oh man, I know you've been taking care of my girl this summer. And then in their cousin's house, and then when they went to the bar, he was like, I'm marrying her, Conrad. I'm marrying her. She's family. I'm gonna take care of her now. Like, he's so insecure. He sounds so insecure. Like he knows. Like, he knows. He sounds so jealous and insecure that Conrad, he'll never be able to take care of Belly like Conrad has ever done. It's disgusting. As a disgusting human being. And the actor is probably really cool. I know his name is first name, but he just sounds so insecure. And when Conrad heard that Jeremiah cheated on her, like you could see, like he was enraged. You could see he was so enraged. And then him going to Belly like really? You're really defending him and you're still marrying him after he cheated on you? And that was like 2-3 months ago? Like you're still gonna just marry him after he cheated on you 2 months ago? And she goes, oh yeah, it was a mistake. He'll never do it again. All is forgiven. And Connor's like, what? He's like, when I was with you, I never even so much looked at another girl. And even still, even when his brother is marrying the love of his life, he still won't be with another girl. Steven's all like, yo, Conrad, there's a lot of girls here, bro. A lot of girls here in this bar. And he's like, no, this is Jared's night. This is Jared's night. I can't do that. This is Jared's night. Man, like, you know what, Conrad? If I was Conrad, she don't deserve you. Belly does not deserve you. If I wouldn't be mad if Conrad found another girl. He finds another girl. I just want Conrad to be happy. When is he gonna take care of himself? I want him to be happy because this girl is dragging your ass down. This girl is dragging your ass down. It's upsetting. I'm Conrad FC for life, but like just to see like him getting constantly heartbroken. It's just, oh, man, he poured his heart and his soul and his tears. You can really feel his tears. And to her just treat him like that, horrible, man, horrible. Taylor's starting to piss me off too. How she treated her mother was awful, awful. Why are you still hung up on Steven? Let that shit go. Let it go. If I'm Steven, I'm choosing Denise. Denise is right up his alley. They have the same career path in life where they want to go. Denise is very pretty too. Very pretty. They're honestly very much alike too. Steven, Taylor almost got your ass killed. Almost got you killed in a car crash. You pour her love to her, and she's like, oh, I don't know. No, Steven, no. I don't like you. I don't love you, Steven. And then all of a sudden when he almost dies, all of a sudden now you start to love him again? Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Why are you so hung up on him? Let it go. You didn't want him, and now he's with another girl. All of a sudden now you want him. Let it go. And then to treat her mom like that too was horrible. 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 Who else? Adam, I don't like him. Don't like Adam. Don't like Kaylee. I do like seeing John and Laurel. Them getting back together would be really, really cool. But Adam that guy's a piece of shit. Yeah, but I'm excited to see what happens in episode 8. I'm excited I want to see Steven and Laurel and Adam and all the other people other than the people in college to find out that Jeremiah cheated on Belly. I want them all to find out. All of them. He's not a good person, bro. He's not. And I'm excited to see if Jeremiah also finds out what happened on the beach too. So episode 8 is going to be real interesting. I can't wait. And that's going to do it for another episode of Timeout with Makali. Please go follow our show. Subscribe on YouTube, Timeout with Makali. Follow the show on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on TikTok, where I post my short clips, and on Instagram and on Twitter. Please also go review us, rate us as well. I will continue, guys, to do this. I can't wait for the NFL season to come out. Can't wait for another episode of Summer Turn Pretty. It's been a great summer. It's been great doing this show. I love doing this. This is my passion. And I'm going to continue on doing this, even when I'm in college. Even probably some more short clips. But thank you guys for tuning into the show today. Don't forget, hit the follow button, hit the subscribe, like, and comment. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.